here we are for, personally, my favourite part of the weekend. It's the GB3 reverse grid race. This is where we see all the action because basically the qualifying times are reversed. It means that those drivers who didn't have such a good qualification will start near the front. I think Mikko Grundvig has had a pretty terrible time this weekend and he will start on pole position, and everything gets reversed, which means that Luke Browning and Callum Voisin, those drivers that have done really well so far this weekend, they start at the back of the grid. Yep. And it's one of those things where it's a case of the different tracks and how many places they can make up. In terms of Snetterton, Piers, is that a good track for overtaking?
It's not the easiest track to overtake. The tracks that are easy to overtake are a lot wider, maybe longer straights, wider entries to corners. We are a fairly narrow circuit here at Snetterton, especially in that infield section, looking at only probably three cars wide, whereas we go to Silverstone and you're looking at an expanse of tarmac, which makes it more difficult. There's less movement or less genuine space to get a car up the inside. However, we have seen in the GB4 race just now that there's plenty of room if things get dicey to have some moves going on, especially if there's mistakes from different people. And making lots of places will be difficult. The start is always the place where they'll be looking up to make those positions. So the run into turn one, into the Wilson hairpin, and then into Agostini on the first lap are the main opportunities for overtakes.
Okay, well, Carlin, who are behind us here, looking very strong this weekend so far. Callum Voisin winning the first race. What was it called? A win and a bin? He winned it and then he binned it, which means he didn't finish the race because he hit the grass and came out there. Maybe that's not. Is that not a term I should be using? Is that a term in the trade?
Yeah, I suppose, but a more politically correct way of saying it would be he had made a mistake which ended his race.
There we go.
Callum with a very good pace and won.
Javier Segura, let's be positive. Yes. He came third there, and he's been the one driver that's been a little bit behind Roberto Faria and Callum Voisin, and nice to see him having some success now. Yep. But for me, that battle between Luke Browning and Joa Granfors was really exciting in that second race. Now, obviously, they'll be starting towards the back together. Yep. Do you think they're going to sort of follow each other through and be battling as they go through the field?
Absolutely. They will be the ones that are trying to work their way through the field. They'll be racing each other while also racing everyone else. So it'll be interesting to see if anything goes on there. I think a lot of how well this race goes will be down to the start, as we've seen in the previous two races. Browning managed to get past Granfors from third to second in race one behind Voisin, and then in race two, Browning got a good start. Granfors nearly got past him, and the racing throughout the race was so close. We saw Granfors applying pressure pretty much the whole race. I don't think he was further than half a second behind at any point, and they got so close about 4 or 5 times into turn one. So close, in fact, that Granfors touched the back of Browning's car and split that end plate. Which
we did just see.
We saw that in the Parc Fermé area after the race. That front end wing plate of Granfors was completely split open. Any more pressure, and that could have been front wing gone, and that could have been a big dent in the championship hopes of Granfors, but fortunately for him, he only lost the 5 points to Browning for that one position.
Well, it was some exciting racing, as I think you'll agree. We're here at Snetterton, leading up to the final race in the GB3 Championship weekend.
Highlights then from the 11th round of the GB3 Championship. Race our way down towards turn one. Luke Browning with a fairly poor launch. He dropped back into the clutches of Joel Granfors and to Matthew Rees from third position. He had a great launch up into third position, was attacking for the race lead, but Javier Segura would be able to make his way around the outside of Matthew Rees and onto the podium in his car with the yellow highlights. Behind that, though, it was just a little bit tricky. Tom Levin hanging on to 6th position, and this great move from Brandon Oxley for the final position inside the top 10. Max Esserson dropping back behind in that Douglas Motorsports iRacing sponsored number 42. At the top of the order, though, it was an incredible battle between Luke Browning and Joel Granfors. Javier Segura having a couple of mistakes would drop off the top two, who would pull their way clear. And it was a fantastic, thrilling battle from the start of the race to the end of the race. All 12 laps with these two separated by absolutely nothing. Callum Voisin having a very big moment for Riches at the first corner. He would spin off and slam himself into the barrier. He would be out of the race winner from yesterday. Nick Gilks and Bryce Aaron would be battling out over 12th position, and Nick Gilks would work his way up into that and would be able to pull away from the American. The race leader Luke Browning would have a bit of a moment coming through Brundle into Nelson. He'd have to defend quite late to try and keep Joel Granfors at bay. The two of them would make the lightest of contact, ripping the front right end plate off of Joel Granfors. The top two at that moment, the top two in the championship and the top two in the race across the line. Luke Browning taking a victory from Joel Granfors and Javier Segura. An absolutely incredible race between the three of them, and they were all separated by 1.5 seconds across the line. Matthew Rees, after retirement yesterday, would take 4th on the road, and Tom Levin inside the top 5 once again. Chris Nadulu getting himself inside the top 10 with an 8th position as well. That battle between Nick Gilks and Bryce Aaron was catching our attention for quite a lot of the race. A fantastic battle between the two, and it'd be 12th place for him. And of course, Callum Voisin retiring from the race a little bit earlier on.
Well, we can see why Snetterton used to be an airfield. Incredible wind here every time we come down to assembly. Piers Pryor just alongside me here. The cars are just about to go out. One question. We've seen Mikael Grundvig win a race in the reverse grid race. We've seen Cian Shields starting second, win a race in the reverse grid race. Zach Taylor for me. 4 new tyres, you said you just had a look at the car?
So we've got Grundvig on the left on pole, 2 brand new left-hand side tyres, not scrubbed. Cian Shields, 4 new scrubbed tyres, so he'll be quick at the start of the race. And then Zach Taylor, 3rd place with 2 new tyres scrubbed, but on the right-hand side. So I reckon if Cian Shields can get away here, I reckon Cian Shields is the pick for the win if he can get a good start.
Okay, what about Zach Taylor? I mean, I'm just thinking, 3rd place.
Yep.
He needs a little bit of a boost, and this could be it for him.
It could be it for him, but I think with the new tyres of Shields and the fact that Taylor's another row back and he's only got the new tyres on the right-hand side, it'd be difficult for him to stay with the pace of the guys at the front. But interesting to see. We've got fastest guys at the back and the slower of the drivers this weekend at the front, so it'll keep everything nice and tight.
Oh, look, here we go. I guess the official word from Piers Pryor, our co-commentator, expert and former GB3 driver, is a high-tech Cian Shields win. Let's see if that plays out as we see the cars leaving, going out onto the track. It's the final race in the GB3 Championship this weekend here at Snetterton. And let's hand over to the commentator, Lewis McGlade.
Well, whilst middle distance runner Piers Pryor will race his way over to the commentary box once again, we get ourselves ready to race our way into the end of the first half of the season. And what a season it's been. The top 2 in the championship separated by just 10 points. An absolutely incredible battle between Joel Granfors and Luke Browning. They have got a lot of work to do though this race. They'll be starting from the very back of the grid in 21st and 20th position. The only person they're ahead of is Callum Voisin after that incredible pole position yesterday afternoon. Mikael Grundvig will start from pole position though, and of course remember the last time that he started from pole position, he ended up winning the race. That one back in Alton Park, had a podium as well back in Donington. Very good. The reverse grid master, so to speak, is Mikael Grundvig, and I mean he's had a whole heap of victories in the reverse grid races. It's actually had 3 victories from reverse grid races. The last time he raced in Snetterton, he only ended up finishing in 9th position. That, of course, was in the 2021 season. But still with Fortec Motorsports, had a 14th and 18th, 14th and 16th and a 9th that day. He had 17th and 20th this weekend, so has not had quite the speed this weekend as he did have 12 months ago at this venue, and has quite a bit of work to do to hang on to that race lead. Of course, he's got a race winner alongside him on the front row in the form of Cian Shields, the Silverstone winner. Zach Taylor is one that I would watch out for, who's going to be starting this race from 3rd, and that number 21 Fortec machine has been great on starts and at circuits which are even difficult overtaking. Anyone who remember back to the very first race of the season back in Alton Park, he actually qualified in 14th position and was 7th on lap 1, managed to dart his way up the order whilst everyone was kind of like slipping up over themselves, and starting from 3rd position, I think, if he gets there, that same level of start could be very, very difficult to beat. A couple of drivers as well that are fairly high up in that order, the likes of Tommy Smith to keep an eye on, Bryce Aaron, of course, the race winner back in Silverstone, but I do fear they might be a little bit too far back to take victory, knowing that it is quite tricky to pass around here. James Headley, who's had some great pace in rounds previous in the championship, of course, he'll be starting in a fairly decent spot. James Headley's had a few top 10s and a couple of top 5s in the championship so far, and he'll be starting this one from 5th position, so could potentially be in position to maybe take a cheeky victory in Elite Motorsports. Of course, I said it before, with particularly in the GB4 Championship with Jack Sherwood, that for Elite Motorsports this is a home round for them. They're based just in Thetford, which is just 15 minutes down the road, and so it could be in a good spot. We do have our middle distance runner here though, because this is going to be a tricky race, Piers. It is hard to pass. Who's your money on for a victory? I mean, the reverse grid master starting from pole.
There is the reverse grid master, Mikael Grundvig. We know he wins from pole in the reverse grid races. He's done it once this year, did it once last year?
Twice last year.
Twice last year, sorry, my mistake. So he's done 3 reverse grid wins. He knows what he's doing there. I think it's all about the start. I'm quite looking forward to seeing how Cian Shields does off the start here with 4 brand new scrubbed tyres. And Mikael Grundvig has 2 new tyres, but they are brand new, not scrubbed on the left-hand side, so that might hurt his start. Cian Shields can apply pressure at the start. He's right up there, only one row behind. Zach Taylor, there was mention of it on the grid that he might be up there. I think he, unfortunately, with only 2 new scrub tyres on the right-hand side, he might not quite have the pace and the tyres that those guys in front of him, potentially, though he has been slightly faster than those two up till now. So, yeah, it should be interesting. I'll let you talk through the grid.
Yeah, and I think he's been good on the race starts as well as Zach Taylor also. There's a bit of a lock-up as well, I think, from Mackenzie Cresswell coming on, just trying to warm the tyres up, warm the brakes up, and get themselves into position for what will be yet another 12-lap race here around the Snetterton 300 circuit. Here's a look at our grid as Mikael Grundtvig will start once again from the reverse grid pole. Cian Shields alongside your Silverstone race winner for High Tech Grand Prix in second position. Zach Taylor for Fortec, and then Marcus Flack for the Douglas Motorsports team, the highest place of the three Douglas Motorsports drivers on the grid, starting directly ahead of his teammate Tommy Smith, who will start from 6th. James Headley will start inside the top 5. David Morales from 7th position with Bryce Aaron, your race winner back in Donington Park in the 3rd race there. Mackenzie Cresswell, I do believe, might have locked up a little bit there with Nick Jilt alongside in 10th position after a decent race last time in the championship. Brandon Oxley and Max Esserson starting in 11th and 12th, while those two were battling out an awful lot in the previous race this season, with Nico Christodoulou starting from 13th position alongside Javier Segura, who took his first podium of the season in the previous race. John Bennett from 15th alongside Alex Connor. The two of those have been tightly contested all weekend so far. See if they can get themselves up towards the top 10, with Tom Lebbert directly behind. Roberto Faria, who went quite well around here yesterday, but didn't go quite so well earlier on with a 7th place finish. Matthew Rees with the retirement of the Saturday race finished decently in the previous race. Luke Browning in 20th position, your race winner in the previous round of the season. Joel Grandfors starting from 21st, and Callum Voisin, your race winner on the Saturday race yesterday, will start from 22nd and last. It is a long day ahead for those lots.
Oh yes, they've got a lot of cars to get through to get to the front. I think it's unlikely they'll get much that high up the grid due to how difficult it is to pass around here with the aero wash, the wind, and the fact that it's quite a narrow circuit with a lot of medium speed corners. An interesting thing to note, basically everyone in the front 7 has either taken 2 or 4 new tyres. Everyone else down from about 13th not taking tyres, apart from one driver. Do you want to guess which driver has got 2 new tyres on the right hand side?
Oh, I wouldn't, because I'm not going to say it's Luke Browning.
It is Luke Browning.
It is
Luke Browning has 2, as far as I'm aware, unless I'm mistaken. I'm pretty sure I saw him roll out of the grid with 2 new tyres on the right hand side of his car. So he's managed to get a first and a second?
Yeah, second in the first.
Second and a first, and he's managed to save 2 tyres. So potentially got a bit of a pace advantage. That might have been why Granfors was all over him, because Granfors took 2 new tyres, I believe, in the previous race, and Browning potentially did not. So that could have been the reason for that. He managed to hold him off, and then now has the ability to use that new tyre grip that he has available to him. There's the windsock.
Yeah, you were talking about that yesterday.
That is out of turn 3, between turn 3 and turn 4 of the Palmer and Agostini. You can see that on the right hand side of the circuit. You can see how that windsock was standing right out. I don't know the Beaufort scale very well, but it's definitely, I think it's up to 12 in the Beaufort scale, isn't it? 0 to 12.
Absolutely no idea.
I'd say that's probably
French to me.
Guessing, I'd say that's a Beaufort 5.
I'll take that and nod with agreement. When it comes to race 3s, obviously, if we want to speak of the championship here, when it comes to race 3s, when it comes to marching their way back up the order, because Joel Granfors and Luke Browning, that's the real focus here. At the moment, realistically, from the 3 that we've had so far, Joel Granfors has outscored Luke Browning in 2 of them, and then Luke Browning by just a single point in the previous race 3. But saying that, I feel that Joel Granfors might be better at marching his way up an order.
On the evidence of the season so far, it would look that way, yes, with, as you say, is it 2-1?
Yeah,
it's only 2-1. It's not exactly a huge data set, is there? But so far, hopefully, Browning will be looking to make it 2-2 in the reverse grid battle, because I remember 2019, Clement Novalak won the championship effectively in the reverse grid races. I think he was the driver that scored the 3rd or 2nd most points in the race 1 and 2, but was consistently fast and made places in race 3 and didn't DNF in any round, and then won the championship due to that consistency.
And you've got to remember as well, not only are there points for positions in this race, there are points for positions gained as well. For every position you make up in this race, you gain an extra point, and that is why race 3 realistically is the most important race of the weekend, as we get ready to exit the first half of the season with Mikael Grundtvig alongside on the front row as he'll battle his way with Cian Shields. Round number 12 of the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BLEC, is underway. Cian Shields with a terrible start. Zach Taylor is moving, and it is a Fortec 1-2 as we race our way down towards the first corner, but Zach Taylor is having to defend in that number 21. Look at James Headley in that 67 Elite Motorsports car. car. He's straight down the inside of the Douglas Motorsports car. There's Nico Christodoulou and Nick Gilks going side by side through the first corner as John Bennett is also trying to fight his way through. Mikael Grundvig with a big lead. Big lock-up though. Was that Mackenzie Cresswell who's gone for a bit of a spin as well?
Rear damage.
It is actually, I think it might be Brandon Oxley. It's one of the Chris Dittman racing cars anyway, but that was crazy.
That was a crazy start. Brandon Oxley made a contact. We didn't see who that was with, but I believe he made contact and broke his rear suspension. Nick Gilks very wide at Palmer's turn 3.
Yeah, and he's going to get dropped down behind. Oh, he's dropping towards the back of the grid, to be honest. He's got John Bennett down, Matthew Rees, Tom Leben is also there. And look at this look at that from Luke Browning, straight down the inside. He's getting it through on Tom Leben, taking a big load of risk as Callum Voisin at the back of the field will get past Joel Granforce, potentially on the run towards Hamilton. And those lot right the way up there in the championship. Big moment from Roberto Farias. Javier Segura is looking down the inside of the number 22, that all-carbon fibre of Nico Christodoulou, the Arden Motorsports car. And there is Brandon Oxley out of the race. That is in a dangerous spot.
That is in a dangerous spot.
Safety car.
Safety car called. Safety car called. That is a very wise decision. He's right on the outside of that section. Whoa! Matthew Rees wide again, safety car called. So when they were racing up to the safety car boards, it looks like some of the drivers see yellow flag on the Bentley straight just before we got to the bridge. So everything will be neutralised now. Hopefully everyone will see that at the same point. That's really unfortunate for Oxley. He tries to go around the outside, the door closed on him, contact and race over.
And it's the first safety car of 2022 in the GB3 Championship. We did have one in GB4 back in Silverstone, but this is the first safety car of this season, courtesy of that contact, which I think I'd say, to be fair, after 12 races, that's a good record.
With 22 drivers with 12 races, that's really good going from the whole the drivers. I think the quality of driving this year has actually been very, very good. And the closeness of all the drivers, the spread has been very small, but the driving has been mature, fast, and I think that's a testament to how well everyone's been driving. You can see the safety car pulling out in front of us now, so that is now on the start-finish straight. Great start from pole position, Mikael Grundvig, the reverse grid master. Kian Shields, unfortunately, be very disappointed to have such a slow getaway there. He's dropped right back into the pack. He is now way down the order.
Yeah,
hang on, is he pitted?
He's had a much larger moment.
I believe he was. No.
I don't think. No, I think is this it? So yeah, I think.
What's happened there? Because he was definitely still within the top 10 when I saw it.
Yeah, there he is.
Oh, hang on. Is that an issue?
Yeah, there's
an issue. Oh, I think he may have burnt the clutch out.
Yeah,
that's what I think's happened. I think he's been doing so many practice starts and he's burnt crawling to it. That is a textbook crawling around the circuit. I reckon on that practice start, he's done too many burnouts using the clutch. That's put too much heat to the clutch, has then potentially fused it together, which means he can't change out of gear, which then is, I think, potentially led to that poor start. And then, unfortunately, looks like it's going to be a DNF. That will be bitterly disappointing for our reverse grid race winner from Silverstone.
Yeah, I mean, so in a sense, you think he's not lucky that a safety car came up because that's down to Brandon Oxley, but you think he might be a bit lucky because would the pack be quite close to him coming into that final sector, or is it still like?
No, he's. I think that's it. I think that's race over.
No, I mean more so that like obviously he's trying to get back into the pit. He's trying to limp back into the pit lane, and the racing pack coming round. Yeah. Like that would be you're left in quite a dangerous spot because you're going very slow.
You can see him there going through the last corner, completely crawling round. That is basically disappointing. That's the right thing to do.
Terrifying with a pack racing, chasing down.
Luckily, because it's 4.7 miles around it, 4.7 kilometres or 2.9 miles around this Silverstone circuit. Here we go. You can see he just doesn't get away, and then you see how the wheel spin. There was never any wheel spin. He just crawled away. Can you see him on the left-hand side?
Yeah, I was trying to keep my eye open.
It looks like the clutch is just slipping, and he's not able to get full drive, which is what he needs to pull away from the line. So well done to everyone who missed him. You can see here let's watch Brandon Oxley around the outside. Yeah, look, that was the high-tech car. Is that Shields?
No, I think
that is Bryce Aaron. Bryce Aaron pulled out to try and make a move himself, and unfortunately Oxley was already completely committed to that outside line and made contact, and that ended his race with rear suspension damage. Here's the big moment from Rees. Wide on the curb, bouncing. Oh, that's going to be uncomfortable with your base of your spine right on the bottom of the car. That will hurt. But that car should be fine to carry on. Here we can see the car being recovered. The marshals doing an excellent job as always, completely voluntary at race weekends. So thank you to the Orange Army, #OrangeArmy, because they without them we wouldn't go racing every weekend.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of good. I did see obviously the piece that we had before the GB4 race as well, that John Jackson was interviewing a couple of marshals, because I think it's it's the important thing that sometimes I don't think we as fans of the sport, we don't tend to forget that the marshals are there, because obviously we know that they're there, but you tend to forget how much of an important role they have, and also that they are people as well, that they are motorsport enthusiasts as well, and they care about what's going on just as much as all of us, as they'll put that car onto the trailer and send it back to the Chris Dittman Racing team.
Yeah, James Headley has done well to stay inside the top 5. He was looking racy at the start. I believe he's now in 4th place. Let's just have a look. Is he in for? Let's have a look. Oh, there is Cian Shields looking very disappointed in the pit lane. You can see the disappointment.
Yeah, James Headley's up to 4th.
Up one place. He made a good start. Who else? Up 3. Mackenzie Cresswell. Very good. And Esterson up 3 as well.
Roberto Faria up 6.
Wow, that's 6.
Absolutely crazy.
Yeah, 6 places. There's a bit of movement. Of course, most people going up 1 position, with Cian Shields having retired from the race, which is a real shame. Now, this is an important part of the race because the safety car's out. It'll be out for a couple of laps. The drivers need to take a moment to warm their tyres. They need to make sure that they maintain brake temperature. They need to make sure that they don't get dirt on their tyres. And also make sure that they're not losing any concentration, because if you lose concentration, that can be something that can mean that you're sitting duck at the start, you lose more positions, and yeah, that's basically something they have to make sure that they get right. And it's a skill that they need to learn. As again, at GB3, even though it's a fairly elite championship with high-level drivers, they're still learning.
Yeah, and this will cut into the race time-wise, because as much as we are running a 12-lap race around here, it is to 20 minutes or so.
Yep.
And with us being on a safety car, it's, you know, we will lose a little bit of racing from this, as we did, you know, in GB4 and stuff, with it being a time race back in Silverstone. So this is eating into what the drivers, the likes of our championship leaders, Browning and Granfalls, can actually work up the order.
Of course, it's all race time. Every minute you spend on a safety car is 1 minute less racing. Luke Browning won't mind. He's currently 1 place ahead of Granfers. Sorry, 2 places ahead of Granfers. So that's more points in his championship fight. It looks like that car of Brown and Oxley has now been recovered. Hopefully we'll be able to go green at the end of this lap, because I know there is an access route somewhere down by the Wilson hairpin where Oxley's car came to rest.
Yes, indeed. Wow, I mean, we'll get this race underway once again in a few moments' time. Of course, them working very, very quickly indeed. We've got roughly 13 minutes left on the times, with them running more so towards 1 minute 44s once we get back racing. Probably looking at about 6 laps of racing around here at Snetterton. And the drivers, they don't have a countdown in their car. They won't really know too much. They're just going to be focused on just getting through as much as possible until that checkered flag comes out.
It's pretty much completely go for it until the end of the race. As many laps as there are, they will be able to have a look at their pit boards, and the teams will be doing their best to figure out how many laps there will be remaining. They'll probably come to a similar conclusion to us, I would hope, and they will let them know. That makes a bit of a difference, because you know if it's the last lap, you can throw a last-ditch attempt, because if it loses you a bit of time but gains you a position, you don't really mind, whereas there's still 3 or 4 laps to go. If you're losing a second or 2 trying to hustle someone too hard, that could actually negatively affect a race. But ultimately, in these Formula 3 races, track position is king. It looks like we're going to go green this time.
Certainly does. Safety car has disappeared off, so it'll be in the hands of Mikael Grundtvig, Zach Taylor, Marcus Flack, Headley, Smith, Cresswell, Aaron, Morales, Esterson and Krista Dulu, your top 10. There's your safety car coming back in. It's a 4-Tech 1-2 at the moment, but Zach Taylor, he doesn't care about the team right now. He cares about himself. He cares about a victory in the GB3 Championship.
Absolutely. Zach Taylor has not had the best season so far. He would want to round the season off with at least a couple of good results, and it looks like Grundtvig's gone. He's gone very early in Coram.
Yes, he has, which means he'll be firing his way around Coram into the braking zone at Murray's, as he will charge his way back under racing here at Snetterton Park, as we will go back under the 43 of Mikael Grundtvig, Zach Taylor and Marcus Flack, directly behind. James Headley coming under a bit of pressure from Tommy Smith as we race our way. That's Matthew Rees just poking out in that silver car, trying to get past John Bennett in the black and yellow Elite Motorsports car. He's already side by side as they head down towards the first corner. A little dart and a weave, as it was Bryce Aaron that was trying to make it stick. Matthew Rees hasn't been able to do so. Tom Leben is trying to fight his way past Joel Granfors down the order, but Granfors is able to hang on.
No, it's Granfors actually getting past Tom Leben there, yep.
Wow, my goodness. Well, yeah, of course, the old Granfors will need to get past. Callum Voisin has also got past Tom Leben in all of that, because his championship rival in Luke Browning has already got past those positions, is already marching a little bit forward and is trying to attack Nick Gilks here in that hill speed. Absolutely.
Nick Gilks will be under pressure from Luke Browning, because Browning's had some pace this weekend, some excellent pace. That is Bryce Aaron and Morales fighting hard into the Agostini hairpin. The first lap after the safety car is probably the opportunity that well, one of the best opportunities that anyone's going to have to make a move. Oh, Aaron, wide on the curb there. That'll hamper his entry into Oggies.
Absolutely crazy. I mean, that's the thing with Hamilton. You're throwing in at such high speed. Here's our race leaders then. The Fortec number 43 of Grundtvig leads from the Fortec number 21 of Zach Taylor. Let's see if Matthew Rees gets it inside the track limits this time by. They do indeed, all keeping off. You can see how bouncy it is going through Williams. It's just constant as you're trying to get onto one of the most important runs, 800 metres down towards Brundle. They're all still single file, but we are back racing here at Snetterton.
Still
big lock-up.
Yeah, big lock-up at the back. Looks like it's come from Grundtvig's car. Yeah, Grundtvig. Has he got a damage at the front? No.
Granfors, rather.
Sorry, my mistake. Yeah, Granfors. Two Fortec blue and white cars with the G starting name. But yeah, Granfors locking up there, so hopefully that doesn't damage his tyres too much. As long as it was the unloaded tyre, then I don't think it'll be too much of an issue. He made the corner, so he'll be living to fight another day. He's now trying to get on the back of Browning, his main championship rival. Still very, very close. We've got, let's have a look. We're not even 5 seconds and we're down to 13 places. So that shows how tight it is. About 2-3 tenths between every single car.
Incredibly close out there with 9 minutes and 10 seconds left to go. We're expecting it to be around 5 laps left here after the safety car. Little look down the inside. Roberto Faria trying to get past Javier Segura. The two Carlins, the yellow of Javier Segura. That slow run from Roberto Faria is going to open him up to Alex Connor in the red and white Arden Motorsports car as they head round Palmer. Oh, a little bit too deep there for Roberto Faria. The up and under from Alex Connor. Super stuff in that red and white number 32. Beautiful move as he tries to slot his way up the order. And John Bennett in that number 27 is also going to try and get through for Elite Motorsports.
That was so close. John Bennett's front wing to the rear wheel of Roberto Faria. An excellent move from Alex Connor. He went round the outside of turn 3 into Palmer's, then decided that he was going to do the cutback. Faria tried to defend the outside by running deep into the corner, which then left him vulnerable on the exit. That's a really good cutback. It's textbook move and shows that Connor's got some great racecraft. As we now see, is that one of the Arden cars alongside.
It's Taylor. What's happened to Zach Taylor? The number 21 of Zach Taylor in that red and white car has dropped backwards a couple of spots, and David Morales is now going to try and get around. I did see a lot of dust kicked up at Hamilton, and I wonder if that is because of Zach Taylor's issues a little bit deep. The massive amount of curb from Morales, and look at this from Max Esterson in that blue Douglas Motorsports car. He's managed to work his way past, but yeah, that's for 8th position right now, and Zach Taylor started the lap in 2nd.
You do not want to be riding that massive sausage curb on the inside of Nelson. It is huge. It is probably about 6 inches off the ground, and if these cars running just a few centimetres high with such stiff suspension, you could see how much it unsettled the car and made him lose that exit and relinquish the position to Max Esterson in that blue Douglas car.
Yes, indeed. Well, it gives the opportunity to Marcus Flack. There's Morales with Javier Segura going through the first corner. Morales in 9th position, Javier Segura in 10th, a little bit of side-by-side behind all of that as Alex Connor's trying to keep Roberto Faria. A big dive in there. Oh, my goodness. John Bennett just manages to keep the car on the road, but he gets pushed off just a touch from Matthew Rees, who sneaks his way through in that silver JHR Developments number 53, but just a costly mistake. I think that was Bennett watching what was happening ahead and thinking, oh, whoops, I broke a little bit too late there.
Just held the brake a little bit too long into that corner, which caused the car to over-rotate, and that's what caused the oversteer. It cost him enough time for Rees to get up the inside and then block him off at the exit. Good move from Rees. He could see that Bennett had made a mistake and capitalised on that excellently.
Well, I mean, the retirement, by the way, from Brandon Oxley is the only retirement, with Kean Shields as well, the only 2 retirements from the race, which means that everyone's battling to stay inside the top 20, obviously, and basically just to stay in the race with 6 minutes and 40 seconds left to go. Callum Voisin is ahead of Tom Leben. Jilks, this is towards the back, but Browning, crucially, is ahead of Yoel Granfors, looking to outscore him for yet another race. This is Matthew Rees trying to get past Roberto Faria on the Bentley straight as we race our way down towards Brundle. He looks, there is the move from Roberto Faria in defence, there is the move from Matthew Rees to the inside. The number 53 might be in a little bit too deep though as they head into Nelson, and Matthew Rees is up the position. Roberto Faria in that blue and white car has dropped another one.
Rees is looking racy in this one. He's moved up 3 or 4 positions now. He's up to, we'll see over the line, I can't work it out as I'm looking at it now, but Rees is making some excellent moves, looking racy, assertive, but in control.
Yeah, and obviously he's cleared John Bennett as well, so a couple of moves on that lap courtesy of it, and so will work his way up into 13th position, I do believe, as of course Luke Browning is closing in, but now he's got to worry about his championship rival. There's John Bennett looking one way and the other in the black and yellow Elite Motorsports cars, trying to find his way past Roberto Faria.
Browning on the inside.
He's absolutely charging right now. Big defensive move from Roberto Faria, but John Bennett is going to lose out here, and of course Yoel Granfors for the championship has to follow. Luke Browning through here, so close off the corner. John Bennett running up and over over the curb, and he's able to hang on and slot himself between the two championship rivals.
Good use of the extra bit of grasscrete there. Granford's tried to force him off the road, but Bennett, having been out there once already, knows where to go to not hit the ground with the bottom of the car, and he managed to do that. Headley, look at that, at the front, third place.
Whoa, Nick Jilks, oh my goodness.
Yeah, so Headley with a fast lap on that last lap, so he's got some serious pace in this. That looks like he's coming back, though.
Yeah, I think Joel Granfors is going to send it once again. That was a great little lunge from Nick Jilks, who's up and onto the curb going into Hamilton. He's now got to worry about Callum Voisin in the red-highlighted Carlin, who sent it around the outside. Big kick of oversteer from Nick Jilks coming through Oggies and down into Williams. That is a super move from Callum Voisin, your race winner yesterday afternoon. Nick Jilks gave it a good attempt, though. I respect that.
That was a great send up the inside into the Agostini hairpin, but Callum Voisin saw Nick Jilks having to back off to let Granfors back through, and then Jilks made a mistake on the exit of Hamilton and got on the curb. Voisin went left, went round the outside, braked nice and deep, used the extra runoff on the exit and managed to get round him.
Well, this is the race lead. So Grundtvig is leading in that number 43 Fortec car. Marcus Flack behind in the blue Douglas Motorsports, and James Headley in that black and yellow Elite Motorsports car. It is 3 for the race lead. Tommy Smith is also closing in. With 4 minutes and 10 seconds left in this race, we'll have 3 more laps of racing here at Snetterton. So there is plenty more opportunities for them to work their way up. And of course, it's for the race lead. You've got to try it. Javier Segura looking to try and make something stick on David Morales there. That one being for 9th position. But you've got to remember, every time you try and go for a move, you know you're going to be open to a move from behind as well.
Yep, whenever you're going for a move, it's not the ideal line, and any time you go off the ideal line, you're losing time to your theoretical pace in the race. So you're losing time to the car in front, or the car behind will move up. So you need to make sure that you're decisive and assertive with your moves, and only make a manoeuvre if you think it's going to stick.
43.505 for James Headley. He is closing in on the top 2. They are absolutely separated by nothing right now. The 3 of them across the line that time by just 1 second between them for the race lead. This is going to be a frantic end to the final race here at Snetterton. Mikael Grundtvig, is doing an excellent job of staying at the front. He's led from the grid master.
Yeah, exactly, the reverse grid master. This would be his 4th reverse grid race victory in GB3 Championship, 2 this year and 2 last year. Let's not put the commentator's curse on. I know you don't believe in it, but if he can keep the car on the road, I don't see them being able to make too much of a move. Although Flack, he's tasting his first opportunity at a podium.
Yeah, and they say he's not had the greatest season so far. There's Matthew Rees, who's having a great race here. I said, was running quite well on the Saturday race before a couple of car issues that dropped him out of that race. He's further down in the championship than he would want to be. This is a team that have come here into GB3. I know this is the same thing with a lot. Everyone's here to win. Of course they are. But this is a team, JHR Developments and Matthew Rees, have come here to win this championship. They are not messing around. So when they have results like that, when they have retirements, when they're running in 4th, 5th, that isn't good enough. They are expecting to win. They are expecting the podium, and so to have an issue like that in the previous race and then to see what their driver's capable in this, that is what we expect from Matthew Rees. Super stuff, as the race lead is under a lot of pressure right now in Grundtvig, because Marcus Flack is applying it in that number 11.
We know that JHR and Matthew Rees combination is strong. It won British in F4 last year in their first season. They were looking to do a learning year and ended up actually winning the championship, moved up effectively a year early to GB3, so he's effectively in another learning year, but doing really well, consistent pace in qualifying, always within the top 5 or 6, and now showing that he's got the racecraft as well by making lots of moves. That is Connor looking to go up this inside of Bennett. No, that's not Bennett, that is Morales in that Arden car, getting confused with the colours.
This is the Joel Granfors and John Bennett attacking a little bit further down the order. That is Granfors' upper position. That is for 16th place. So getting past the Salisbury local, that's my neck of the woods, of John Bennett, who's now dropping down the order. Doesn't quite have the speed in this race, but that's always what happens when you're looking at the drivers that are coming back. You start in the midfield of this race. Everyone behind you, you're looking at a lot of very, very fast drivers, championship rivals, etc., that are all trying to work their way through. It is aggressive in the mid-pack, and that is what makes this race so feisty. 1 minute left to go. We're about to finish the penultimate lap of the race. So all these corners, this is their penultimate opportunity into a lot of these corners to absolutely send one down the inside.
Mackenzie Cresswell applying some pressure onto Tommy Smith here. Mackenzie Cresswell in that Chris Dittman racing car, the yellow, black and red car, pushing on the back of that blue, two-tone blue Douglas car. Tommy Smith will be happy with this if he finishes where he is now, 4th place. He's struggled a little bit. Those two, Flack and Smith, have struggled with a bit of pace this weekend, but they're showing that they've got it all together by this final race of the weekend.
And here we are then on to the final lap of the race, that final attempt down into the Wilson hairpin, and a bit of a look there from James Headley, who's sending it in that number 67. He's alongside, but is he going to be able to get through? It's so close between the two. Oh my goodness me, Marcus Flack pulling it straight over the nose of James Headley. This has allowed Grundtvig to pull away comfortably.
There must have been less than a few centimetres between the front wing end plate and the rear wheel of Headley on the back of Marcus Flack, and we've seen how that can affect cars in GB4 with the contact between Nicholas Taylor and Tom Mills, and that ended both of their races. Ended the race. We know that if you're front wing to wheel, that can cause a puncture, so very, very high risk, but they've both got away with that. And unfortunately, Headley, after that manoeuvre, as we said earlier on, has lost a bit of time. Trying to make a manoeuvre and not making it stick can lose you that time, and now he's potentially lost his last opportunity to get an overtake.
Also, look at this, from the first sector from Mikael Grundtvig, whilst those were battling behind, he's just set, Mikael Grundtvig, our race leader, has just set the fastest first sector of the race. It was half a second faster than basically everyone else. Absolutely incredible. Max Estersen's defending in the background to try and hang on to 8th position, because he's got David Morales right over the rear end of him, and Javier Segura also. But Grundtvig is coming around through bomb hole right now, as this entire train is separated by 12 seconds. It just shows how incredibly close this race has been. The final couple of corners for Mikael Grundtvig, as he's going to balance it up for that final corner. He's going to shoot it out towards the line. It'll be quite close as Marcus Flack's going to close in, but Mikael Grundtvig is going to win his 4th race in the GB3 Championship. Absolutely super stuff. He held on with all that pressure. Marcus Flack in a second behind, and James Headley from 5th up to 3rd.
That's a great race for Headley, up 3 places. Mikael Grundtvig, the reverse grid master, 5 now total reverse grid wins in his GB3 career. 2 this year, 3 this year now.
No, two this year,
4
2 last
total,
year.
2 now this year. So he's actually one of the drivers with the most wins this season, but always in the reverse grid. So very well done to him, finding his pace at the end of the race as well with a very fast last lap.
Yeah, he now joins a tight list of drivers that have taken more than 1 win this season, because there's only 2 drivers on that list. It is Mikael Grundtvig and it is Luke Browning. No one else has won more than 1 race, because not even Joel Granfors, who only won the first race at Silverstone, not even Joel Granfors has more than 1 win this season. That is how tight it's been. We've had so many different winners, and you just don't see that too often. Here's Mikael Grundtvig taking the victory. Marcus Flack, James Headley behind, with Tommy Smith and Mackenzie Cresswell in 4th and 5th. Bryce Aaron and Zach Taylor, with Estersen, Morales and Segura rounding out the top 10. Nico Christodoulou will round out actually a pretty decent weekend. Of course, remember, it is only Christodoulou's 2nd weekend in the GB3 Championship. He'll finish in 11th position after a couple of decent results, 13th and 8th throughout the weekend so far. Alex Connor put on some great moves, but Matthew Rees, got to say, potentially even driver of the day after a race like that. He was carving his way through the field up to 13th position. Roberto Farrow and Luke Browning behind, just ahead of Granfors. Bennett, Voisin, Gilks and Leben the top 20, with of course retirements from Shields and Brandon Oxley. Another crazy race in the GB3 Championship, but it was Grundtvig in control once again. It's another podium from him. We'll take a look at highlights from the race, and it was a slow start from Kean Shields, courtesy of the clutch issues, and it would allow the battle to race its way down to turn 1. Mikael Grundtvig holding from Zach Taylor. A big moment from Brandon Oxley, who'd spin his way into the dirt after contact with Bryce Aaron, and then a safety car would come out. Big moment here. Watch this from Matthew Rees, up into the air, manages to keep it on the road, and man, he was aggressive. There is the retirement from Kean Shields, and of course joining the list with Brandon Oxley. So just 20 finishes in this race. Clear engine issues, or clutch issues rather, on the race start after the very long hold, and as we got back to racing, it was Grundtvig in control. Big lock-ups though coming down here, this one from Joel Granfors as he was locking up the front left on the run through Brundle into Nelson. It was just crazy racing back in the pack. Roberto Farron a bit too deep, and then John Bennett would join him, and it would allow Matthew Rees to claim the position, and later on in the lap Matthew Rees would actually get his way past Roberto Farrier. Luke Browning will be down the inside of John Bennett, and whilst Joel Granforce was trying to get through. John Bennett was saying no thank you. He'd slot his way between the two championship rivals. Eventually Granforce would find his way back through. But it was all about this man, a day for him to remember. Of course, a great victory for Mikael Grintvig, who depart the final corner. He wasn't able to cross the line just yet. That was me going a little bit too early, as Marcus Flack was just keeping James Headley at bay. Super tight stuff between them, just millimetres separating them. But across the line, it was Mikael Grintvig, and then a great podium from Marcus Flack and James Headley. We'll be catching up with those a bit later on. Javier Segura with the fastest lap of the weekend, I do believe, after a super performance in the previous race. That third place finish for Javier Segura was absolutely incredible. For James Headley, again, I know I've said it before a few times, to be into third position for Elite Motorsports, the local team. They're hoping for a little bit more joy later on this afternoon, the GB4 race with Jack Sherwood. He'll be starting in a good position to potentially go on to take a victory. Big congrats from Marcus Flack to Mikael Grintvig, and let's catch up with the race winner himself.
Yeah, well, a second reverse grid race win for Mikael Grintvig. Maybe a disappointing weekend up until now, but you've really made up for it in this final race.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a very tough weekend. We started qualifying with the problem with the engine, and then as well in race 1 we had a problem with the engine, and in race 2 today, and now it seemed like it was better. So the team and I have worked very hard the whole weekend to focus on race 3. So yeah, I'm very happy for this race. I mean, I've tried it a few times now, you know, reverse and starting from pole and in the top 3, but I think this is the best race I've ever done. Like, yeah.
I feel that you've struggled for some consistency over the championship so far. You've been very fast at times and you've struggled some other times, and I've seen your social media today where you're explaining the problems and the frustration, but having just, you know, this huge amount of positivity at the end of the weekend, this must be massive going to Spa next time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I always try to focus on my dream when it's tough, and not like get my head down of it, but yeah, I mean, definitely it's a confident boost for Spa.
Well, you've mentioned your dream. You've got to tell me what your dream is now.
I mean, definitely it's F1. You know, everyone dreams of that. So I work hard every day, and yeah, I will be there one day.
You will. We need a Danish driver there. Mikael Grintvig, congratulations. We'll let you go and celebrate with the rest of the Fortec team. We're going to have a chat with Marcus Flack here, who we spoke to a little bit earlier on, and it was good to work. Marcus, I'm going to bring you in here. We spoke a little bit earlier on, and you know, we were talking about this weekend so far, and how, you know, you needed just that one little thing to get you going, and this is been the thing you needed. But I mean, James did push you towards the end there.
Yeah, he did, and I felt I put a bit of pressure on Grintvig, but it's just how things ended up. I didn't manage to get him in the last lap, but either did James get me. I reckon that was a great race between us three.
It really, really was, and obviously with the safety car, it did cut a lot of the laps down where you could have attacked. Do you feel that if the safety car wasn't in play, that you might have got him?
You never really know. Safety car. If the safety car didn't come out, he might have driven away. But we never know. Or James could have got me. We never know. But I'm happy with how that race ended up, and hopefully we can build on that for next round.
Absolutely. Finally, I noticed on the grid you were very much positioning your car in a sort of very attacking angle there with Cian Shields in front of you, and obviously it turned out that Cian had a bit of a problem there. But an amazing start from you in your Douglas car.
Yeah, well, starts haven't been the strongest point of me in this category for the start of the year, but this weekend I've seen to nailed it and sort of figured out how to do it. And my starts in all 3 races have been pretty good. So coming into this one, I was thinking I've got to get someone off the start. So it was just position it well and get it going.
You really did. Explosive, Marcus Flack. Congratulations. Second place for Douglas Motorsport. And the man that we were talking to earlier who really challenged him there towards the end, James Headley, that was a good bit of racing there.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to see that we improved the pace. Obviously, didn't have it in quality for some reason, but yeah, definitely a good step forwards for this race. But yeah, challenging him, but never really close enough. It's so hard to follow, so yeah.
We did talk earlier, and you said that you were struggling for that pace, and you managed to find it. So is that just down to you and the team just working really hard in between those last 2 races?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know if we did quality again. I don't know how far up we'd be. I mean, we'd definitely be a good improvement, but yeah, I still think there's a bit more to find. But yeah, definitely a good improvement from the races. Just looking at data and just a couple of tweaks to the car that really do help. You know, the car's so sensitive, so just a small tweak can make the big difference.
Absolutely. And on to Spa next. You must be pretty excited to drive there.
Yeah, honestly, I can't wait. It sounds like my driving style completely, fast and flowing. So yeah, it's going to be so cool to race around there.
We'll let you go to the podium there. James Headley with Elite Motorsport coming third today. What an exciting race that was. We even had a safety car in that, which cut a lot of the laps down there, but still some very exciting racing, and that is what we've come to expect here in the GB3 Championship. I'll hand over to Lewis McGlade now, who will talk you through the podium.
So close again in the championship after another crazy round of racing. We came into it separated by just a point at the top of the standings, and it is now 11 points that Luke Browning will lead. But our focus for this race has got to be on the likes of Grundtvig, who moves up the championship courtesy of a race victory. He's now in 15th position in the championship. First podium for Marcus Black. Of course, he did miss the Silverstone round, so he is catching up on lost time. Now moves ahead of David Morales in the championship, who also had that podium back in Alton Park. And to be fair, for James Headley, who's been a little more inconsistent this season, has had a great pace at Donington Park with a 6th and a 4th place before finishing in 14th. This round struggled a little bit in the opening couple of races, but to rescue a podium in the third and final race of the weekend, it really was a super performance. Moves himself just outside of the top 10 of the championship. He's now 3 points behind 10th in the championship, which is being held by Mackenzie Cresswell. But again, a great fastest lap from him. He looked so strong in that race. Elite Motorsports in both GB3 and GB4 have looked pretty decent all weekend. Unfortunately, it was a little bit of a struggle there from John Bennett, who dropped back down the order as we'll wait for them to head onto the podium. For Elite Motorsports, Tom Leben started out the weekend with a couple of top fives, and then this man, James Headley, taking a third position in this race, means that they're finishing the Elite Motorsports, the local team, the Thetford-based squad, finishing the top 5 in all 3 of the races here this weekend. Of course, Tom Leben in races 1 and 2, and then James Headley in this race as well. Can't forget as well, John Bennett finished in 6th in the first race of the weekend. There is Marcus Black onto the podium for his first podium of the season, and then Mikko Grundtvig. We've seen him on the podium a couple of times this season before, with a first place finish at Alton Park and a third place finish at Donington Park, and here at Snetterton he will take the victory. And another superb victory for the Danish driver, who again took 2 wins last year. In the third race last year, he actually ended up finishing in 9th position, so this is a few positions better than that to take yet another victory. And yes, it's the reverse grid race. We know how some people kind of feel. It's a reverse grid race. It's maybe less important than winning in race 1 and race 2. Fair enough, each to their own on that one. To win at this level, you've got to perform. Javier Segura with the fastest lap of the weekend, also getting his rewards for doing so in that incredible race 2 of the season, where he set the fastest lap on the way to his 3rd place finish. It does mean that none of the race winners this weekend have actually had the fastest lap of the race, because in race 1 it was actually Roberto Faria who finished in 4th place. Javier Segura, the other Carlin driver, got it in race 2, and then of course it was the driver that finished in 3rd position in this race, being James Headley. We'll head down to John Jackson in just a second to catch up with some of our drivers in the paddock. Let's hear who he's got.
Thanks, Lewis. Yeah, I'm here with the championship leader, Luke Browning, and that race there, a little bit chaotic. The first thing I want to ask you is, watching that safety car, for you being at the back, being quicker in qualification, that must be very frustrating, because it just cuts down the amount of time you've got to make up places.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's tough, but it's always difficult to overtake around here, so it's not necessarily, you can't really unleash what you've got behind you. But yeah, no, that was an incredible race, and I'm sure it's a good viewing for everyone at home. Yeah, I just managed to keep clean that race. A reverse grid race, you managed to keep clean, which is nice. Slightly different just way of going about things, I think, really helped me there. So hopefully we're taking that into the rest of the season.
And obviously finishing that 1 place ahead of Yoel, that means that you are the championship leader going into Spa, which must be good positivity for you.
Yeah, exactly. It's always nice to be championship leader. Taking back the form from Alton, coming into Silverstone. So yeah, no, I couldn't be happier. Honestly, the team around me, they've worked so hard this weekend, and I'm trying to extract everything that I can. And yeah, it just shows you how close the championship is up the top. I think the top, top 6 in qualifying was split by a 10th or something.
Yeah, very close.
It was really close. So it just really eking out every little bit of performance will really help.
Well, look, halfway through the season now as we head to Spa, and you are the championship leader, Luke, so congratulations on that. You've got another half of the season to go, and if we're talking in the same position the other half of the season, then you'll be the champion.
Well, that'd be the dream, wouldn't it? That's perfect.
All right, I'll let you crack on and celebrate with your high-tech team. A very successful weekend there for your new championship leader, Luke Browning. Obviously, he was the championship leader at the start of the season. He made a very quick progress at Oldham Park there, which we discussed. And then Yoel Granforth in the Fortec kind of overtook him, started doing really well. Here he is.
Hi.
It's Tommy the Tank. I don't know. I mean, is that an official name now because of the train association, Tommy Smith?
Definitely not. I don't think so, but it's pretty cool to have a train named after you.
It is. Look, we got to talk about the race there. I feel like you were pushing there, nearly a podium, and would have been 2 cars in the same team on the podium.
Yeah, exactly. It was close, but it's so hard to pass around here, and these reverse grids just show you it's all about qualifying. So, I mean, if you start at the front, you probably finish there. So, I saw Marcus and Marcus getting pretty close, you know. So, but they didn't touch, unfortunately. So, but good job to him. He drove quite well this weekend. So, yeah, but unfortunately, I qualified a little bit too good in that first race, so it hurt me in the reverse grid. So.
It did. But the question for you is, obviously being Australian, with Marcus being Australian, is there like a fierce Australian rivalry on the grid?
Not really. I mean, we're pretty good mates, but but he just drove a little bit better there, I guess, this weekend. So, yeah.
Taking it in turns. In terms of Douglas, though, a very successful weekend. You know, Max has been driving really well recently. Marcus getting up there, you getting up there. I mean, I would call that successful.
Exactly, yeah. No, it's been a pretty good weekend. I mean, I had a little mistake in race 1 and I lost the front wing, but other than that, it's been okay.
That was yesterday. We forgot about that.
Yeah, I forgot about it too. Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure whoever's paying for it won't have forgotten for it. But Tommy, it's been great chatting to you. We're going to see you at Spa. You must be quite excited to drive at such an iconic circuit.
Yeah, definitely. I raced there last year in the Formula Regional, so yeah, looking forward to that. Big open wide track. So yeah, that should be good.
Nice and quick. All right, Tommy Smith. We won't call you that nickname I gave you, but you know, if you will pose in trains, then Tommy the Tank is unfortunately going to happen. That's the last time you hear me say that. Tommy Smith for Douglas Motorsports there, coming 4th in the end, and it appears that was an exciting race, despite having quite a lot of the laps there taken out by the safety car.
Yeah, the safety car played a big part in the race. It took out a big chunk of the middle, but it did bring everyone together, and we saw some moves after the safety car as well, even though there was only about 6 minutes, I think, after the safety car remaining, which is about 4 or 5 laps. Some great manoeuvres from people like Matthew Rees, made up a few positions there. He was looking very racy, made a small mistake at the start, but then came back strong. You also saw one of the other Chris Dittman cars, I think Mackenzie Cresswell made a good
Mackenzie Cresswell did very, very well there. I was wondering if he's around. We can move slightly backwards.
See if he's around.
But Mackenzie Cresswell, did very, very well there, made up a few places, and he's one of those drivers, again, that's kind of like Marcus Flack, who's running past us now, and kind of like Tommy Smith. We feel like they have the skill, they have the talent, they have the car. It's just some things just aren't working out for them. I mean, Piers, you go and have a look. I have a feeling we may not get Mackenzie Cresswell there, because I think they've run off to do their debrief. Mackenzie Cresswell, actually, interestingly, we've talked about a lot of the American drivers. You've got obviously Bryce Harron and Max Esterson and David Morales on the grid, but Mackenzie Cresswell did actually grow up in Texas and a big fan of the IndyCar racing, and he's sort of well-travelled despite being British, and his dad was coming over and was supporting him over here in England, and it's good to see. And I think we mentioned on commentary, I did hear Lewis mention that it's good to see drivers from all over the place coming and racing in GB3. Mackenzie, we were just talking about you there. That seemed like a good positive race for you and made some good moves.
Yeah, it was better than the rest of the weekend for sure. We've not really had the pace Saturday and today, so it was quite nice to get a few positions from my starting spot, but it's so hard to pass around here after lap 1. It's a procession from there, but I'm pleased. P5's a good result from where we were before, so yes, pretty good points, and I finished the race, which is what you want.
Absolutely. We talked to some of the drivers about Spa, and a lot of people are enjoying the fact that it's a nice, fast, wide circuit. Is that your feeling about Spa as well, coming up next?
I'm very excited for it. I've never been there, so I'm really excited to see what the racing is like, see what the slipstream effect is. It's going to take some getting used to. Only 2 sessions on Friday. It's going to make it quite a challenge, but I'm up for it. It's such a historic race. I'm really looking forward to it.
Maybe some time in the sim to get as prepared as you can before those practice sessions, and give it your best. Mackenzie Cresswell, thank you very much from Chris Dittman Racing there. Brandon Loxley, I mean, what happened out there? It did not go well for you, I'm afraid.
Yes, just got a little contact on the last race. He moved on the braking and hit me off the track. So yeah, it happens. It's racing. So.
I mean, was that just a racing incident, or was anyone at fault? I mean, I'm assuming you're not going to blame yourself there, but what are your thoughts on that?
Well, the stewards are going to come back to you on that one, because I mean, he moved on the braking. 100% sure about that. So let's see what the stewards say.
Absolutely. Obviously mentioned Spa there with Mackenzie. You must be looking forward to it as well.
Yes, it was one of my favourite tracks, but then I actually went there and raced last year in the F4, and then I have mixed feelings about it.
Not great memories.
No, not great memories. I don't want to think about those, but
But you could erase those memories next time out.
yes, exactly. Make better ones there.
That's it. Positivity. Brandon Loxley, not a great end to your weekend, but I'm sure Spa will be a lot more positive.
Yes, for sure.
We'll let you crack on, and everyone here seems to be packing down, so we'll let. I'm sure you'll be helping out, yeah? Yeah, of course you will. Of course you will. But yeah, I mean that was an exciting race for me, and some of the other drivers.
See the component that bent on the Mackenzie Cresswell's car there. That is one of the suspension components that started off straight at the back on the floor. That's not exactly what you want to see, and unfortunately that's what caused the end to Brandon's race.
You can see them testing it there. In terms of the GB3 weekend, I mean we've seen some excellent driving. Who would be your driver of the weekend, putting you absolutely on the spot here?
I think it's got to be Luke Browning. He's second to first, and then is making some great positions to extend his championship lead. Regain and then extend his championship lead. He finished ahead of Joel Granfus in all three of those races. Yeah. I think honourable mentions from Matthew Rees. A shame in race 1 that he didn't finish, because he was looking racy in both race 2 and race 3, making some great moves. Bit of a breakthrough weekend as well for some other drivers. So I think there's a lot of drivers who just walk away from here G'd up, but I think Luke Browning got to be the driver of the weekend.
It's frustrating, isn't it? Because I was watching Nick Jokes, and there was a battle down the end of the field there, and I think he overtook at one point Joel Granfus, and it was a great move, but then maybe a little lack of experience, because in doing that he left himself open and then ended up losing 2 places, which is experience really.
It was quite literally 1 step forward, 2 steps back, unfortunately. Yes. for Nick Jokes, and that was just such a small error. He made a great move into Agostini hairpin after the safety car. Got past our second place championship, or the championship leader coming into this race weekend, and then unfortunately just didn't cover enough, which meant that Granfus again got back past, and then a great move from Voisin around the outside meant that he lost another position. So that's just the difference between the drivers right at the front and Nick, who's maybe learning and getting a bit more experience at this level of racing. So great experience for him. He knows that he won't make that mistake next time. Shows that he can move and make some great passes with the guys at the front, and hopefully he'll be able to show a bit more pace and be up with them in the races to come.
Yep. Well, we've got an exciting bunch of races to come. Actually, we mentioned with Luke Browning there that we are halfway through the season. We've got Spa coming up next, 3rd week in July. Have you ever driven at Spa yourself, Piers?
Unfortunately not. When the year I drove was 2020, and that was COVID affected, so we weren't allowed to travel, and unfortunately I missed out on Spa. So we went Donington 3 times, Silverstone once, and we went to a lot of the circuits in the UK a couple of times, but it's been a great circuit. It's a real treat for the drivers. It's probably one of the only circuits along with Silverstone that you really get to open up these Formula BRDC support partnered GB3 cars. Oh my goodness, a lot of talking. But their car, they're sort of very high average speed. They'll be running low downforce. The cars will be moving a lot, long corners. We know that Kemmel straight up towards Lacombe can create some excellent overtaking. We've seen in the past bump drafting from these cars. We've seen overtakes inside, outside. We've seen that long run also from the college section right into the last bus stop chicane. Plenty of overtaking opportunities, really wide circuit. One of the classics, and everyone will be looking forward to it. Even if it's not a successful weekend, it'll be a treat to drive.
It will. 23rd and 24th of July, Spa. The next weekend we go straight to Silverstone. Then the following month we go September the 10th and 11th. It's Brands Hatch, and then we end back at Donington. Very, very exciting there. I think it's the 14th, the 15th, the 16th of October at Donington. And you know, if Luke Browning, as I mentioned there, can be where he is halfway through, the full way through the season, he's going to have had an excellent year, and he will be the champion. But still a lot of driving to come. We're going to leave it there. We're back at about 3 o'clock for the final race of the weekend. We're going to bring you, it's the GB4 Championship. Max Maserati is your new championship leader there after Nicholas Taylor did not finish in that second race. So Nicholas Taylor is going to be on the rampage from the back of the grid. Let's see if he can get there and end the weekend as the championship leader. GB4 coming up at 3 o'clock.